Yeah, thank you. So today, actually, I'll have two talks. Today will be more technical talks, so I will talk about the product and the future of the product. And tomorrow there will be a more business part. Okay, so I would like to talk about monitoring first. But before I start, I would like to share some numbers about the conference. So today we are having slightly more than 250 attendees from 10 countries, from 10 Latam countries. Obviously we have a Spanish-speaking, Portuguese-speaking, and a few English-speaking guys here. So we all are representing 79 companies from more than 89 cities. So there are guys from Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So some of you made a very, very long way to the conference. So thank you very much. So, yeah. There are many industries in the world, like aerospace, retail, chemistry, I don't know, pulp and paper, who are producing paper, or maybe automotive, so many industries. And I think kind of a business owners on a different levels in these industries, we're asking the question, so does my business work? Does what I do at the company, maybe I'm responsible for IT infrastructure, or I'm responsible for some process in my company, and this question which is quite often asked. And when I worked as a system administrator a long time ago, I also asked exactly the same question. Do systems I'm responsible for, they work and they operate properly? And actually, this is kind of the essence of the monitoring tools. The monitoring tools is your helper to understand if what we do is actually, it operates properly. And I'd like to give a few examples of Zabbix customers and our users. As you can see, they are from many different industries. It's, well, finance, you can find the largest world banks here. There are some, aerospace, and for example, the Airbus company. There is Nokia, there are many telcos like Orange Test Systems and the Deutsche Telekom, Telecom Italia, and many others. So what I'm trying to say, though, the question is being asked by kind of owners of many businesses and divisions and subdivisions, regardless of what industry we are talking about. And actually, Zabbix is being used, I think, by nearly all aerospace space agencies in the world. I can mention only one name. This is European Space Agency. This is our user of Zabbix. So actually, we may tell that Zabbix is already in the space. Yeah. What else? Let me remind you what is Zabbix. Zabbix is a universal, open-source, enterprise-level monitoring solution, and I'm repeating this over and over again. It's a free and open-source product, like, for example, Linux, which is also free and open-source. And being free and open-source is not important because it's free and open-source. It's because it really gives so much freedoms to users. Yeah. So freedom to use our software for whatever purpose you want. Freedom to study how our product works. And freedom to extend our product if you feel that it needs to be extended, and then you can share results of your work. So this freedom is super important also, and especially in the enterprise world. Because C-level executives, they're looking for some freedom. They don't want to have some vendor locks. They don't want to be locked with the functionality provided by closed source software. So this essence of the open source is super important. And it's universal. As you can see, we are not aimed to be a solution for a specific industry or a specific niche. Zabbix is trying to be an extremely universal tool that can be applied to many use cases which are related to monitoring and sometimes maybe not related to monitoring at all. And it's enterprise level. Enterprise level basically means that Zabbix fits well into enterprise world when you expect that your tool can be well integrated with other existing tools you may already have. So this kind of, the notion of flexibility is super, super important in this respect. I think, yeah, last year, Red Hat company, obviously you all know the Red Hat company, it's conducted a report. It's called the State of the Enterprise Open Source Report, when they asked more than 1,000, I think 1,200 higher level executives, IT executives about open source. And one of the questions was, what are the benefits? How do you feel? What are the top benefits of using open source? And this is basically the top 3 answers: the better security, higher quality software, and ability to safely leverage open source tech. So the third one is absolutely all about freedom, yeah? And the 2 one, a better security and higher quality software, are also super important. And that's when we do Zabbix, when we develop Zabbix, it is also one of top priorities for us. We really want to build a software of the highest possible quality and the highest possible security. And another of the question was about how you look at the open source today comparing to your feeling, well, last year. And more than 77% of the respondents, they answered that this year I'm feeling more confident. I have a better perception of open source comparing to a previous year. So that is super important. And I think nowadays we don't need to convince anyone to use open source. In many cases, open source is kind of solution number 1. So at the beginning we are looking for open source solution. And if there is no open source solution, okay, then we look at maybe some proprietary stuff, maybe SaaS solutions, and so on. So Zabbix is all-in-one monitoring platform, and it really implements a very simple pattern. So what Zabbix does, it collects data, so it performs data collection, and Zabbix is very good at collecting data. Then it does a real-time processing of the collected data. So we have like pre-processing, we have some discovery rules, we have trigger expressions, we have some anomaly detection functions, trends prediction functions, and so on. So Zabbix discovers something in this data, like problems, for example, and then it reacts somehow. It may send notifications, it may auto-remediate some problems, and also Zabbix provides visualization and reporting. And I think that this pattern is not really, it is not really unique to monitoring. It can be applied to all other, on some other use cases you may have in your company. So we collect data, we analyze data, and then we do something about results of our analysis. So the cost of Zabbix, and this is important for decision makers. They will ask the question, okay, is it expensive to implement Zabbix in my company? And I have to say that Zabbix has extremely low total cost of ownership. Obviously, it's mostly because it's a free and open source. So there are no licenses associated with the Zabbix. There are no restrictions. You may use Zabbix for monitoring, well, tens devices today or services, and then maybe you scale and grow to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of services and devices. And yeah, there is no additional cost associated. It's free and open source. And also, if you purchase support agreements from us and from our partners, we provide a fixed price support agreement depending on SLA. There is no per device fee whatsoever. You pay for the SLA, fixed price. So this is, I think, it's a very kind of win-win situation for everyone. And of course, all information about Zabbix, and it's quite often it's a problem with the proprietary tools, many proprietary tools, that it's really hard to find information. But for Zabbix, there's so much information available. Official Zabbix documentation, many forums, Telegram channels, well, lots of information, YouTube videos, it's everywhere. So, and it's in order to try Zabbix, you don't need to make any investments, yeah? All right, you go, you download Zabbix, deploy it. The only investment is the time of your engineers, and that's it. And of course, so Zabbix provides, I think, the kind of a best of both worlds. From open source world, because we do provide a free and open source product. But on the other hand, we have a vendor, we have a reliable vendor and network of partners who do provide services you may need. Support services, like subscription services. We also provide, I don't know, trainings, and I think training is great, because training really helps you to, I don't know, to make deployment of the Zabbix with the best possible way in a fast manner. You really need to train your engineers. Template building services, turnkey solution, whatever you need. And I think the services is a great way to save your time and money, really. Of course, in many cases, companies may want to rely on their own engineers, but sometimes and quite often, it's much more efficient to engage vendor or partners for some services. Yeah, so that's a photo was taken last year from a Zabbix summit, and we celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Zabbix summit. It was taken in Riga, in our headquarters, and this is our team, not everyone. At this moment, we have around 140 people working on Zabbix, well, every day. Yeah, and it's a great honor for me to work with these people. Those are the best engineers, the best colleagues, the best, well, guys we may dream of. Because quite often you see me on the stage, but in reality, lots of work is done by these guys. Not me, but most of the work is done by my colleagues. And yeah, we have more than 250 partners all around the world, which is great, because we are very close to our users, and we are trying to be very close to our users. Services are very close to our users. And also, it's especially appreciated by bigger companies, by global companies, because we may provide 24/7 support on a global level. So regardless of the size of your company, maybe you're a small company or kind of multinational company spread across the different time zones and continents and speaking different languages, we are here and our partners are here to provide you the best possible support. Well, Zabbix can be deployed anywhere. I think this is, again, one of the freedoms of Zabbix, what Zabbix gives you. On-prem, all right, you have maybe some special reasons or you want to deploy Zabbix on premise. Well, no problem at all. We do provide packages for nearly all popular operating systems. Yeah, so okay, just download Zabbix, download packages, deploy it on-prem. That's fine. Yeah. If you want to deploy it in the cloud, okay, we also provide one-click images and one-click setup for AWS, for Azure, for Google Cloud, and for some other cloud providers. And why it's important? It's important because many companies right now, they are thinking, or maybe already doing some transformation to a hybrid cloud or moving to the cloud whatsoever. And it's important that the tools you are using right now, they are kind of compatible with the older paradigm, maybe like on-prem setups, and with some older things, with newer things, like running services in the cloud. Yeah, and Zabbix, this is another thing which is super important. With Zabbix, you may monitor virtually anything. And it's all about kind of the data collection, data analysis part. Yeah? legacy systems, maybe some very old operating systems and legacy operating systems, I don't know, AX, HPX, or Solaris, whatever. Or also Zabbix is ready to emerging technologies and to newer technologies. So if you want to see if a service or application of a network device you'd like to monitor, it can be monitored by Zabbix just out of the box, you may go to zabbix.com/integrations and see for yourself. At this moment, we have hundreds and hundreds ready-to-use templates for monitoring of different services, well, cloud services, well, I don't know, Kubernetes, containers, network devices, applications, and so on and so forth. And of course, Zabbix can be well integrated and is already well integrated with the different notification systems, alerting systems, and if something is not there, if something is not in the list, there is a very simple procedures how to enable Zabbix, how to integrate Zabbix, how to create those missing templates. Security. I'm talking about security recently. It's become quite important topic. That's why I need to repeat over and over again and make some statements about the security. And at Zabbix, we pay a very, very significant attention. I think security is like number 1, number 2 priority at Zabbix. The quality of the product and the security. Yeah? And there are 2 levels of security in Zabbix company. One level is a product. We want to make sure that the product which is used by our customers, our users, is secure, and it has enough security-related features and functionality to meet the highest security standards. And with every new release of Zabbix, we're introducing a new security-related functionality. So, well, Zabbix has never required any root privileges. We install Zabbix agent on Linux, no root privileges whatsoever. Yeah, it never required. All communications secured, TLS or PSK, pre-shared key encryption. So we do it across all Zabbix components. Zabbix UI, more and more functionality is coming, like 2FA, single sign-on, password complexity checks, many other things, and just-in-time user provisioning. I will talk a little bit later. It's all about additional security levels. And for those who want to keep secrets outside of Zabbix, somewhere in an external systems, like a password, API tokens, whatever, well, you can do it. Yeah, you may keep those secrets in CyberArk or HashiCorp Vault. Last year, we engaged into bug bounty program with the HackerOne company. I don't know, any of you knows what is HackerOne company? HackerOne? So yeah, okay, so HackerOne, I think this is the most famous company which provides services of white hackers. So those guys, they're trying to find, this is the best security experts. They're trying to find some breaches and vulnerabilities in your product and vendor, as we pay for those vulnerabilities found. And I think we already paid, I think, a few tens of thousands of US dollars to security researchers already. So, and this is really cool that security of Zabbix product is not verified only by us, by developers, but also by independent researchers. And it really gives us a little bit kind of more confident, that much more confident, I would say, that the product we are delivering to our customers is much more secure. Another thing, at the end of this year, we've been certified. We've got ISO 2701 certificate. All our operations in the world. So our Zabbix Latam office, has got this certification as well. Also, Zabbix Japan, Zabbix headquarters, so everything. So we are ISO 2701 certified. So it's really important because the product security is one thing, but the security and the best practices we use within company is also very, very, very important. What else? Yeah, and of course we are being completely transparent about security. That's why we have this security advisories, which is absolutely, well, it has all information. It's available on zabbix.com, and if you have a security team in your company, you may just point them, okay, so here is this information about the latest security-related findings in Zabbix. Yeah? So if someone reports us some security information about the security vulnerability, we have a special procedure. And we inform our partners and our customers first, and then when this bug, this problem is fixed, and we have a new minor release, and everyone is informed about this fix, about this security vulnerability. So this, and we have very clear policy and clear procedure about it. Okay, so that's what I'd like to say. Zabbix is not only a monitoring tool, as we used to think, it's also a data processing platform. So it collects data, it analyzes data, does some analysis, and it reacts to some data, and also does some, reporting and visualization. And of course, if you want to learn or if you want to introduce Zabbix to someone, we have a very great reference point. This is a Zabbix features page, when all kind of functionality, higher level functionality of Zabbix is explained in very simple terms, so you can see what things we have in Zabbix regarding metric collection, problem detection, alerting, data visualization, single pane of glass, security integrations, and so on and so forth. So great source of information for everyone. Okay, now let's talk about the most interesting thing, I guess. At this moment, we have our latest LTS version. This is 6.0 LTS. By the way, who prefer running LTS releases? Who prefer running LTS releases? Okay, and who prefer running the very latest major releases of Zabbix? Okay, and the rest is okay. All right, so it's, I believe it's about 50-50%. All right, so the LTS is obviously long-term support. We provide 5 years support for LTS releases and about 6 months support for non-LTS releases. So at this moment we have 6.0 LTS and 6.0 LTS and 6.4, the latest major release, and now our team is working hard on 7.0 LTS. So before talking about 7.0, I would like to go through quickly 6.4, what we managed to implement. And there are some big features that I really think that might be super important for many of us. One is a zero downtime upgrade of proxies. Yeah? Great functionality, especially for those who are running maybe tens or hundreds or thousands of proxies. Because now, if you want to upgrade from one major version to another, you have to upgrade everything in one go, proxies and Zabbix server, and it's not convenient. Yeah, it really ends up with some downtime, most of all. But starting from Zabbix 6.4, we will providing kind of a backward compatibility of proxies in regards of the data collection. So older proxies will continue to collect data and send it to a newer Zabbix server. It gives us much longer time window for upgrade. So you can upgrade your proxies maybe within 1 day or maybe within 1 week. Well, no problem at all. The concept of the cause and symptom events. This also super important. Now, in 6.4, we have introduced kind of classification of events. So one event can be cause events. It's a root cause, what caused other problems. So this is the most important part. And other events are just symptoms. Symptom means that, okay, it's not so important. Some problem happened and we have tens, hundreds, or thousands of symptoms. So we can hide those symptoms. We are not so much interested in them. So now it's possible to do this classification manually. You go to Zabbix UI, you select some events, you feel they are symptom events, and click, and those events will just disappear. So you can see here. I don't know if you can see it here or not, but this is like a cause event, number of symptom events, 2, and those are those symptom events. So we have some hierarchy of events in Zabbix. And at this moment, it's all done manually, so we can do the kind of manual interaction with Zabbix. But with the introduction of event correlation, it can be fully automated. Instant configuration update. I think this is a very good news for those running larger Zabbix setups, because at this moment, before 6.4. Zabbix had to do a full configuration sync every maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, depending on your configuration. And you make some changes in Zabbix, configuration changes in Zabbix, and you had to wait maybe like 5 minutes or 10 minutes when proxy get this configuration update. But not anymore. So right now, it is possible just to, I don't know, make some changes in Zabbix. This change gets recorded in the Zabbix database immediately. And then Zabbix, maybe within a few seconds, discovers, oh, we have a new host, or we have a new item, or we made some changes in the trigger expression. And then Zabbix servers, okay, discover this change, and this change, only this change, this small piece of data will be delivered and pushed to other components of Zabbix, like Zabbix proxy and maybe a Zabbix agent, if you are talking about Zabbix active checks. So this makes absolutely different user experience. We make some changes using Zabbix UI or Zabbix API if we do some automation for our changes, and those changes get distributed almost instantly across all components of Zabbix. So it's really great. Just-in-time user provisioning. That's all I mentioned before. It's all about, it's one of the most voted feature. It's been one of the most voted feature for many, many, many years. Yeah. If you look at if you sort everything, like this Zabbix Next feature request, so you can see that was like top 1 or number 1 or number 2. And I'm super happy it's finally been implemented. And it's been implemented in a very, very nice way. So now you may keep all your users outside of Zabbix in Active Directory, LDAP, or you can use a SAML authentication. And as soon as your user is authenticated in the SAML using login screen, this user will be created automatically based on information we received from a SAML or from Active Directory or from LDAP. So you don't need to manage users in Zabbix anymore. And of course, there will be a mapping between SAML attributes or Active Directory attributes with user groups. So you don't need to care about user permissions. You care about user permissions in Active Directory or in a SAML. And we also support theme provisioning. It basically means that as soon as you make any changes for user in Active Directory, for example, this change gets propagated, pushed to Zabbix at the same time. You remove user, and this user will be removed instantly from Zabbix. You make some changes for this user, and these changes will be pushed to Zabbix. So Zabbix don't need to pull something out of Active Directory or SAML. Yeah? It's very nice, and it's really kind of really enterprise-grade feature which many companies were looking for many, many years. Real-time data streaming. Another nice improvement. It's basically about ability to push data Zabbix collected and to push events generated by Zabbix to external systems. So Zabbix collects lots of metrics, it generates some events, and now it's possible to push, basically to create a stream of those events on those metrics and connect any systems you want. For example, you may use some AI ML tools for analysis, for anomaly detection. You may attach a Kafka. You may attach some, I don't know, if you use some IBM message bus or SQS, Redis, whatever. So it's possible to push information out of Zabbix filtered by tags. So sometimes we don't want to push everything. We want to push, we just want to push some portion of this information, what we feel the most important. So it's possible to tell Zabbix, okay, you select what, so you create a new connector, you select what is the data type, I want to push metric data or trigger events, then you specify URL, this is actually endpoint you are pushing data to, and then you also specify a tag filter. So the information can be filtered by tags. And then Zabbix will push data in real time using HTTP protocol, which is well described. Okay? This is our own Zabbix protocol. And then on the other side, it's really easy to create basically converter from a JSON, which is pushed by Zabbix, and maybe Kafka, or I don't know, to push it to gRPC, to push it to some message bus. It's just a matter of a day to create such connector. What else? Template versioning. So what is template versioning? It's basically a very simple concept. Starting from Zabbix 6.4, it is possible to see where the template came from whom, who is creator of this template. So now all official Zabbix templates, they marked with the vendor Zabbix. And also you can see the version. So from what is the version of this template? Because, you know, sometimes we use a very, very old and ancient templates and we don't even know because there is no version information in the template, yeah? But now it's also possible to create a very simple CI/CD pipeline so you can keep your templates in the Git repository. And as soon as you make some changes for this template in the Git repository, for example, use Jenkins or some other automation, GitHub, whatever, your automation script will increase the version of the template and push it to Zabbix using Zabbix API. So it's very straightforward integration, which really helps you to understand what version of the template I'm running right now. And then actually all kind of the change history. The change history will be preserved in the Git repository. So you can see what's the difference between the previous version of the template and the last version of the template. So it really enables a very nice automation for a much better way for template management for many users. What else? Now let's talk about Zabbix 7.0. And really, that's when we're talking about LTS releases, I always want to make as less big changes as possible. Yeah, I'd like to do some kind of polishing, some minor improvements. Maybe, okay, we're improving some performance a little bit, something like this. So the LTS release will be polished. Yeah, but it never happens. It never happens. I mean, there is always temptation to add some bigger functionality to our users, to add some more value to the LTS release. And 7.0 is not an exception. There will be some nice, big features and improvements that I think really makes a Zabbix monitoring to the next level. So let's see what is coming soon. There are a number of directions, some general directions for Zabbix 7.0. Of course, many changes are related, those smaller changes related to improving of the usability of Zabbix, and especially it's related to UI. Yeah, we really want to make UI much more integrated, interconnected, so that our users will not make many clicks to move from one page to another. This is super important. Another thing is for integration team is to make sure that Zabbix comes with all necessary templates to provide very in-depth monitoring of the cloud environments like AWS, Azure, and just recently, I think a few days ago, we have introduced a templates for monitoring of Google Cloud Platform, GCP cloud services. So if you're interested in GCP, just check the latest news. We have a new set of templates for monitoring of a GCP. Event handling and processing, super important part, yeah? I will talk about this a little bit later. And of course, we'll continue the way, our path to make Zabbix as extendable and flexible as possible, so that you can extend Zabbix agent, you can extend Zabbix UI, you may extend visualization, you may easily integrate Zabbix with other tools. And of course, high availability, scalability, load balancing plays, it's always been a very important role. And low maintenance cost. Again, at Zabbix, when we design some feature, we always think, will it be easy to use and easy to maintain by our users? And as time goes, we are trying to make Zabbix as easy to maintain as possible. I think this is super important. All right, let's start with what is coming. Asynchronous data collection and threads. As you know, right now Zabbix is more like a multi-process application. You have one poller, there is one process, two pollers, two processes. Okay, thousands of pollers, thousands of processes in Linux. And processes are quite heavy, yeah? So we are moving to use of threads slowly. This is one thing. And another thing, we are moving to asynchronous data collection. What does it mean? So right now, if you want to have two simultaneous connections by pollers, we need to run two pollers. Okay, if you want to, I don't know, monitor hundreds of hosts, we need to run more pollers, thousands of hosts, 10,000 of hosts, 100,000 of hosts. We need to make configuration changes so we can run hundreds of pollers, thousands of pollers, and so on. And it's not so good. So very soon it will be possible to run just one poller. Okay, one poller, and it will handle thousands, 10,000s of connections. Yeah, so that's it. Very easy. Why it's important? Because it really makes Zabbix less resource hungry. So we don't need to use. We will use less memory. We will use less CPU resources, and also it will enable in the future auto-scaling of Zabbix configuration, which is really nice. Yeah, auto-scaling of Zabbix configuration is super nice, so that you don't need to deal with a number of pollers, droppers, SNMP pollers, discoverers, whatever. It will be automatically handled by Zabbix in the future releases of Zabbix. What else? Another performance improvements. At this moment, you probably know, especially if you are running a larger Zabbix setup, that UI for superadmin is super fast in most cases. But for ordinary users, for users and for Zabbix admins, it feels a little bit slow sometimes. In latest data, maybe in a dashboard or list of problems. And in 7.0, we would like to solve this problem solve this issue. We would like to make would like to make this performance check. This is the reason why it was slow, much faster, 10 times faster at least. Also in 6.4, we are introducing so-called in-memory data collection by proxies. So what does it mean? It means that if we have a proxy, it collects some data, but instead of writing data straight away to the Zabbix proxy database, it will keep it in memory, and then it will push to Zabbix server. Okay, so basically, if we have enough memory, so the information will be stored in memory, and it's pushed to Zabbix server. And of course, there are two reasons why we do this. First of all, if you are running very low-cost proxies, for example, Raspberry Pi type of hardware, this storage is not so reliable. Yeah, and if you do lots of I/O operations with this kind of low-cost storage, it may die very soon, like flashcards memory or something like this. Yeah, and it will greatly decrease number of I/O operations. This is number one reason. And reason number two, if you're running proxy in the cloud, okay, you may be paying for storage, you may be paying for I/O operations, basically, yeah? And with this feature, maintaining of proxies, especially if you have many proxies, it will be much more cost effective. Advanced event correlation. Actually, this slide I showed last year. This is about the way we'd like Zabbix to process events. And I think this is, I'm showing this slide because it's really big feature, I think. It will add so much value to Zabbix. Right now, Zabbix is a great tool to collect the metric data, to process metric data, yeah? But in the future, I really want to make Zabbix also a great tool to work with events, with non-structured data, with the log files, with any kind of JSON structure, whatever, with events. So Zabbix would collect events. It will do some correlation, like deduplication, like I don't know, enrichment of these events, classification of the events, what is root cause, what is symptom. So that is, we are working on the design of this functionality, and it's not an easy task. That's why it takes so much time. But it's really, I think it will bring so much additional value to Zabbix. And proxy load balancing and high availability. So finally, this is also one of the top requested features. And there are a number of use cases. Obviously, high availability of proxies, load balancing, actually automatic load balancing across a group of proxies. And it will enable auto-scaling for proxies. So if you're running proxies or group of proxies in Kubernetes or on the cloud with some auto-scaling groups, it would be possible. So if you have less number of hosts, less loads, there will be less proxies, and you can deploy more proxies as you have more hosts, for example. So how it will work? Basically, right now, it's just, it's very simple. All right, we have some hosts, and we manually tell, okay, this proxy monitors this group of hosts. This proxy monitors that group of hosts, and so on. So what happens if one proxy goes down? Okay, those hosts will not be monitored. Unless we have some high availability options using Corosync or using Linux HA implemented on the Zabbix proxy side. And yeah, it's just too much work to maintain it. It's not so easy. Yeah. So what is coming Zabbix 7.0? Basically, one thing. It's support of proxy high availability groups. We call it high availability. Maybe it will be called differently. But the idea is to have a proxy high availability group, and then instead of telling that this host is monitored by individual proxy, we tell, okay, this host is monitored by proxy high availability group, and Zabbix will automatically make the distribution of hosts between the proxies. It will be done in fully automatic way. We don't need to do any manual operations. So basically, proxy 1 will take care of monitoring one part of host, proxy 2 another part of host, proxy 3 another part, and proxy 4 another part. It's all done fully automatically. And then if something goes down, okay, for example, proxy 1 goes down, obviously this host will not be monitored by proxy 1 anymore. So Zabbix will do kind of regrouping, rebalancing, so that the hosts which are currently not monitored by proxy 1 will be moved to proxy 2, proxy 4, and proxy 3. So that's the idea. We are very, very close to a final design. And I believe the actual development work will be started very soon for this functionality. I'm very excited about it. And actually, yeah, so it will give us support of proxy high availability group, proxy load balancing, and a host can be monitored by Zabbix server, by Zabbix proxy, as it is now, and also by Zabbix high availability group. Yeah, there is another option to use. Yeah, and for passive checks, it's very easy. Proxy 7 monitors some host, and if proxy 7 is not available, okay, this host will be monitored by another proxy. Very easy. For active checks, it's a little bit more complex, yeah, because active checks, they don't know to whom, to what proxy I need to send data. So there will be some discovery method. First of all, active agent will connect to some proxy, any proxy of this group, and it will ask, okay, where is my proxy? To whom I should send my data? When we start Zabbix agent, okay? To whom I should send the data? And proxy 2 will answer, okay, I'm not your proxy. Please send your data to this IP address of a proxy 7, and Zabbix agent will start pushing data to proxy 7. And when proxy 7 becomes unavailable, Zabbix agent will connect once again to proxy 2 and ask, okay, where's my new proxy? To whom I need to connect? Okay, so that's how it will work, yeah, in a very simplified way, I would say. What else? Some major improvements which are coming regarding visualization. And I'm really excited about these changes because it enables so many great things. What we'd like to introduce in Zabbix 7.0, dashboard navigation. Now it's a little bit difficult to move from one dashboard to another. We need to make too many clicks. Okay, one dashboard, we go to the list of dashboards, another click, okay, another dashboard. It's not so easy, yeah? So there will be support of one-click navigation between the different dashboards. All right? There will be also support of special type of widgets, which I call widget navigator. And what does it mean? For example, a host navigator. Host navigator is basically a list of hosts, maybe grouped by host group or grouped by tag. And then you click on some host, and all other widgets in your dashboard, they recognize, okay, now I need to display information about different hosts. So I display graphic for another host I selected. Okay? And it will really make dashboards much more dynamic. This is one thing. And you may actually have multiple levels. So you have a map, you click on a host, then you see list of items, you click on the item of this host, and then you will see some graphs for the one of a few selected items. And you'll be absolutely free to build your own, basically, UI pages using this technology. I'm super excited about it. So, and also what we introduced in 6.4 and we will stabilize in 7.0, it is a framework for widget developers. So we already documented how to create new widgets, how to create a new, basically, visualization. It's already part of the documentation. So if you really want to create your own widgets, all information will be there. Nice, and you may create widgets differently using, for example, PHP only, using JS only, JavaScript only, or a combination of JS and a PHP. So what else? Yeah, so there will be a new set of widgets, like some basic widgets which are missing now, like pie chart, donut charts, gauge charts. The work is nearly finished for this basic stuff. There will be new reporting, capacity reports, so you can see information, say, for January, bandwidth for January, bandwidth numbers for February, for March, current numbers, so you can see what's the trend, what's the kind of, what's the capacity of my system in the CPU usage, I don't know, network usage, some other metrics. There will be, that's what I mentioned, the widget navigators. We already have map navigator widget, but there will be host navigator, item navigator, and we are looking forward to implement much more advanced visualization for Zabbix. So this would be the next steps. Another super interesting functionality which is coming in Zabbix 7.0, it's a centralized management of timeouts, of item timeouts. So right now, if you want to manage or configure timeout settings, you just go to Zabbix server configuration file or Zabbix proxy configuration file, and you change this timeout parameter. And it's not, well, it's really not so user-friendly. And it's only one parameter for all items. If you set this parameter too high, we may get some problems. We set it too low, we may also get some issues with this, yeah? So it's always kind of a balance and very tricky balance. What is correct value for this timeout parameter? But starting from Zabbix 7.0, it will be possible to define, from Zabbix UI, which is really important, from Zabbix UI, no need to touch configuration files. You define default settings for different item types. For SNMP, okay, I want 3 seconds. For Zabbix agent, maybe 2 seconds. For HTTP, okay, let it be 10 seconds, for example. So you may define it on a global level. Then you could override it on a proxy level if you want. It's kind of optional thing. So for some proxies, you may have a different timeouts per item type, and then you can override those timeouts on item level. So you go to the item, you could see this timeout 3 seconds, which came from a global timeout, and then you just, okay, I want to override. I click the change button, and I override to 10 seconds. Maybe this is SNMP item, which is used for discovery. It does a huge, it takes, I don't know, 5 seconds to discover many interfaces. That's why I want to increase it. So that is, it really, I think it will really give us much better user experience and convenience. We don't need to deal with the configuration files. Before I mentioned that, okay, we have data streaming in Zabbix, which is really cool. 7.0, I really hope that we'll manage to implement so-called data ingestion. So it will be possible basically to subscribe to different data streams. I don't know, well, any data streams, if you're working with IoT, it could be, say, I don't know, MQTT, for example, yeah? You may, Kafka, okay, so gRPC, whatever protocols, HTTP, yeah, that doesn't matter. You just attach Zabbix to a stream of data, and then Zabbix will kind of process it, filters the data, and it will also distribute received data across different items from different hosts using the logic you described. Yeah? We are still working on the design. No guarantee it will be implemented in 7.0, but we have intention to have it implemented. It's really, I think it will really open so many very nice use cases. What else? Custom inventory fields. Okay, so also one of the top voted feature requests, it's been for many, many years, ability to define your own fields. And the way how it will be implemented, most likely, it will be possible to define it on a template level. Instead of having some global, kind of global dictionary for inventory fields, it would be possible to have it defined on a level of individual templates. I think it will create a very, very flexible way how to deal with the inventory data. What else? And of course, there are many, many smaller features, different backlog and usability improvement. We would like to implement inline form validation. We'd like to implement test function, remote commands for active agents. It still doesn't work for active agents. And also fixing some awkward usability issues, like this one. Maybe you remember this thing. Yeah? I've been here so many times when I forgot to press this add button. Yeah, I don't know. It's a nightmare. Yeah? I manage some host permissions. I type here some okay. This is a host group, whatever. And then I forgot to press add button, press update. I think everything is fine, but it's not fine. So finally, those issues will be fixed. I really think it's a shame that they still exist in Zabbix. Yeah. Okay. Yes, and for those who wants to learn more about Zabbix 7.0 roadmap, the roadmap is publicly available. And just recently, I think last week, I made the latest update. So the information is in the roadmap is very up to date, it's very current. So you can go there, zabbix.com/roadmap, and see where we are. If you see that something is ready, it means, okay, you can try it in the next alpha release. If you see that something in dev, it means it will be implemented for sure. We are already developing this feature. In design means we are thinking about design. And new means we haven't started yet, but we plan to implement this functionality in Zabbix. And looking at the future, I described what is coming in 7.0, but we already started investigating things that we want to have implemented in Zabbix maybe in 2 years' time, at least in 2 years' time in Zabbix 8.0 LTS. And obviously, it's about observability. It's about ability to collect all possible data about objects we monitor. So now Zabbix is a very good tool about metrics. Yeah. So Zabbix is all about metrics. But with support of OpenTelemetry, we will make Zabbix kind of APM with support of tracing, for example, when we can see the breakdown of how some end user transaction evolves and how it goes through different services. I think it will give us much more power to Zabbix, and that's why this this functionality like advanced event correlation and event processing is so important. It really enables us to work with non-structured data. Performance and scalability, obviously, and we are also exploring a different kind of possibilities how to get good of use of AI and ML technologies right now. Yeah, so that is what is in our long-term roadmap, and I'm super excited about it. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope the information was very useful for you. Okay, thank you.